Good afternoon. This is part three of Sankofa, and today we're interviewing Viola Huff, deacon in training and disciple of Pleasant Grove Church. Viola, thank you so much for joining us. We are excited to hear about your experience in social justice and what you have to share with our church family.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here today.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we will go ahead and get started. The first question that I'd like to ask you is, would you please tell us briefly about yourself and any organizations that you've worked with that address issues of social justice?
With NAACPs in the state of West Virginia and Virginia, and I have worked with other organizations in dealing with race and multicultural organizations throughout Virginia and West Virginia.
Wonderful, wonderful. Can you tell us what has been your experience with advocating for change in the areas of social justice, civil rights, or criminal justice? I'd love to hear about what it was like working with the NAACP as well.
Being an advocate for change takes time, energy, and a desire and willing to help others. So it has been a lovely journey for me because I am the type of person that love to help other people. And so there are always problems in our society. So it's been wonderful trying to work with other people.
Mhm. Can you tell us what the NAACP was like and your years of working? What years did you work with the NAACP?
Oh, I started actually working with the NAACP in 1977, and it's been a lovely journey. There are all kinds of racial problems. There were problems against also, believe it or not, white people. They had equally as many problems as blacks.
Mm.
So it didn't matter to me who people were. If they had a problem, I was willing to help them to solve that. And I feel really uh, good in assisting and enabling people. So it was really great. I enjoyed helping people to
Mm.
get results.
Wonderful. That's good. I'm glad you said to get results. What did you find in your experience with the NAACP or with generally with civil rights and fighting for social justice? What types of strategies did you find were the most effective to actually cause change to take place?
Well, in working with the NAACP, you always worked with a group, with the executive committee. And it's not like my decision, it was the association's decision. You never make a decision by yourself, it was always in a group. And it takes a lot of prayer. You have to have trust in God because it wasn't us doing it anyway. It
Amen.
was always God above. And I always believe that. And when you go into a situation where the population of African Americans is less than 1%, and you got to deal with racism, and it was thick as thieves racism. And in every walk of life, in the police department, in education, oh my goodness. But I have always been one to not be afraid to speak up for what is right. As
John
John
Lewis.
Lewis would say, do get in trouble. Make sure it is good trouble, and that's my philosophy.
Wonderful. So what actual actions did you take? Did you protest? Did you picket? Did you boycott? Tell us some of the things that happened in your experience with fighting for civil rights.
Okay, we did protest. If the clans were coming to town, we just didn't sit around and do nothing. We would protest against the Klansmen. And ironically, if we had a meeting in reference to the people, they would show up to the meeting and we would buy balloons and things like this for our protests. And they would even donate money for that fund. Isn't it ironic? But I found that the Klansmen where we were located, they weren't that large.
Mm-hmm.
They would just come out and they looked like they needed a meal to eat. They would be
Mm-hmm.
really slim and but they would shake our hands. They were really friendly, a friendly group of clans people that I ran into.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, when my mother, she grew up in Fayette County, West Virginia. When she came along, it was amazing at the difference in then and now. She lived in a coal camp. That means that the all the homes belonged to the coal company.
Mm-hmm.
Dad was a coal miner. And what they did, there was this African American gentleman who was as white as a sheet. Okay, it's a white sheet. He would join the Klansmen, have a membership, and he would know exactly what they were going to plot before they did it. At
Wow.
that time, there was a constable, and that he would inform the constable. So therefore, when the Klansmen, and they would really destroy during those years, when they would come, the constable would turn them away. And they never could understand how did the constable always know when they were going to march. Uh, we didn't have to protest too much. Ours was just head on with the company that was discriminating against the person or persons or the school system. You just went in, you talked. You just had to talk, and
Right.
you just did what you had to do. And finally, someone would always come around, and that was what was great about it.
So it sounds like being able to talk directly to people who were in power to really get change to take place was something that you were able to use as a
Yes,
strategy.
and we were successful.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's interesting that you talk about what the clans people were like. I'm wondering if they realized, even though they were a member of the clan, that a lot of, well, not no pun intended, but their lot in life was really very similar to the people who they were supposedly discriminating against, considering that you were in a coal mining town and considering the economics of the town. I wonder if they realized that there was more similarities than differences.
I have had many discussions with clans people, and in the end, they will agree that their lifestyle was rather similar too. But they always felt that it was the African American who was taking away their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all would explain to them that as long as everybody is gainfully employed, it is beneficial to us all. So some people we were able to crack the shell. They understood. Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. So, one of the questions I had for you today, with all that we see in the news from the Capitol riots, to our previous administration and all of the police violence, a lot of people are or just overwhelmed by the extent of the systemic racism that they see in the country. What do you say to people who feel so overwhelmed that they think that they can't make a difference or that the system is too entrenched and there's nothing that we can do to cause change? What do you say to those people who feel
I would
hopeless?
say to them that take a look at where African Americans have come, where we used to be, and where we need to go. Change always happens. Nothing remains the same always. We have to remember, yes, we look back at the past, but we just can't dwell and sit in a corner twiddling your thumbs,
Mhm.
hoping for something better. We must go to the voting polls. We must vote. We must cast our vote every time that we can. We must, because our foreparents have voted and they risked their lives that you and I may vote today. And it would be a shame for us to sit back and not do anything about it. We must be heard. We must speak out. We cannot be afraid. I often think about Chronicles 7, chapter 14, verse. My favorite Bible verse. If my people, if we only would just listen to God, be humble, we should pray and ask God for forgiveness. He will listen to heaven and he will heal this land. I do believe sometimes, and I'm not trying to force no one to believe like me in the Bible, but it would be a great thing because prayer does work. Our foreparents prayed a lot, and this is why we are where we are today. And none of us were the trailblazers. It was people way before us. And then I say to the Black Lives Matter group, I think they are a wonderful group. I just hope and pray that they never forget
Mm.
that they didn't get there by themselves. It was for the four parents who placed them there today. And they should always believe in God, always have the faith, have the trust, and pray to God. And God would guide them the rest of the way. So we cannot just sit back and say, oh, it's this way. Look at all the violence. There's nothing I can do. Yes, there's always something we all can do. We can talk to other people, you know, those who would listen. We need to talk to and train up our children in the right way.
Amen. Amen. Excellent. You covered a couple of questions in one, but I will ask you this one last question. The theme for this month for our social justice ministry is Sankofa, remembering the past as we move forward. What lesson does history teach us about the fight for social justice?
The We must, as I've said, we must remember the past because our foreparents were trailblazers.
Mhm.
It took a lot of as old people would say, guts. You know, it takes that there's something inner
That
within a
fortitude.
person that forces you, that make you want. First of all, you have to want to do. You must want to help. And secondly, you have to have the stamina to do it and the energy. And it's long suffering. It's just forever. It goes in a cycle over and over again. But regardless of how long, we still have to hold down the fort. We have to keep on keeping on. And one day, even if it's in glory, we are going to shout and going to have a beautiful time with everybody.
Amen. Amen. Well, I so appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us today, your experience with social justice, and just encouraging us not to give up this fight because we do
Hmm.
have a long, rich history of forefathers and foremothers who have blazed the trail, like you say, and we will not give up. We will continue, and with the grace of God, we will be victorious one day. So thank you, Deaconess in Training, Viola Huff. Thank you for spending some time with us this morning, and thank you, everyone, for watching.
Have a blessed day.
Have a blessed day.